I do it because I like inflicting pain. I like to take emotions at the end. Farther along that I got, the more I was like, no, I can't. It's not right. I can't do it. It's not good for the characters. It's not good for the storyline. I wanted to give it almost like a Tim Burton kind of feel to it, but not paranormal. And I heavily based it off of small towns that I've lived in Nova Scotia. When we first started it, and it was like, bang, like in the cage, she is. And I was like staring down at the script and I was like, holy shit. Like, I don't know if I regret some of this.
Welcome, Brynne, and our amazing listeners who we cannot see, but thank you for the emojis, loving them already, to our Chapter 25 Q&A this evening. I am so excited to be chatting with you today, and I'm sure for all of you to be listening, and somewhat hopeful I won't leave the call with any more food ruined, but now I have a feeling chili is going to be on that list. I'm preemptively not going to eat chili for a while. For those of you who are new to the world of Brynne, which I'm going to make an assumption is zero of you, but I will do an intro anyway. Her deliciously dark and on occasion paranormal romances have graced our Kindles, ears and paws. Brynne is the author of the Ruinous Love trilogy, Shadow Realm trilogy, and now in part Seasons of Carnage. And she is the queen of dark Romcom. And we are so lucky to have you joining us today. Today to you, tonight for us. And I'm just going to point out that I love that you are in your son's bedroom. You guys could totally see a Godzilla poster behind, which we did bond over before this call. So Godzilla is also with us.
There's a map of Canada because
Yes.
I don't live in Canada anymore, and a lot of stuffed animals. So apologies in advance if you do happen to hear any drilling downstairs. We're getting a lot of work done to our house. So this was like the quietest, oddly enough, the quietest room in the house is my son's room.
That's fine. I've actually just clocked the lava lamp as well, and like lava lamp. I'm all for the resurgence of those in people's homes.
There's Sonic is over there. There's
Nice.
like a whole poster of deforestation because important ecological topics. There's a shark's tooth. It's very random in here.
Nice.
I love it.
Perfect. Yeah, boys' room to a T.
Yeah.
So I'll start us off with some rapid fire. Cool. That's cool with you. Nothing difficult, just short and snappy. Writing for you, morning or evening?
Afternoon, evening. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And quiet room or background noise?
I'm gonna go with background noise because I almost always have music playing.
Yeah, and not
usually background
drilling.
Noise in a quiet room.
Yeah,
yeah, not drilling.
There are no wrong answers. You can pick whatever and both. First draft, messy or structured?
Structured. Yeah.
Plotter or pantser, and has that changed since you've evolved in your writing?
Pantser, hardcore, and that has not changed. Yeah.
Love that. And then current or recent read that you've loved?
I just recently finished Grim Tidings by B.K. Borison, and I loved it. It made me cry multiple times.
Yeah, what magic does she put in her books? Oh my god.
I don't know. It's so good. It's
stunning.
So good. Loved it.
Okay. I'm hopeful to get a copy of that. So if anyone is listening out there, please give me one.
Put a word in.
Yes. And a trope you love in books but hate in real life? I'm sure there would be many.
Yeah, I'd actually go with love triangle. I really like love triangles, but like wouldn't want to. I mean, I'm married, so it doesn't apply. But I wouldn't want to be in one or like in real life. Very messy. Yeah.
Yeah. And Ruinous Love road trip. Who's driving and who's controlling the music?
I think Rowan thinks he's controlling the music, but Sloane probably is. I would think Lachlan would probably be driving. He's like the most sensible person. God help us if Rose drives. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And then favorite thing to write, emotional pain or physical danger?
Emotional pain. I want to be like feasting on readers' tears. So
and is it the same for when you're reading as well?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I want to feel all the things. Yeah, the physical danger is great, but I want my heart torn up.
Yeah, definitely. I'm a masochist. Third act breakup. I know that's a controversial thing, but I love it.
I love it too. Yeah, I do.
Alice.
Alice. You know you like it.
Oh no, guys, we don't like that one. And then favorite romantic moment, first kiss or final confession?
I think first kiss. There's so much tension up to that point.
Yeah. Especially, I think a lot of the couples that you write as well, because there is like a lot of tension and a lot of like negative tension. So I think when it gets to that moment, it's like, oh, except maybe in Tourist season, because when they do have their first kiss, nothing's really softened, I think, in that moment yet.
They still very much hate each other at that point. Yes.
And one word that captures the feeling of reading your books.
Probably chaos would be a good one.
Panic.
Panic. Yeah. Fear. Fear for food.
Taste aversion. Everything.
Yeah.
And choose one favorite flavor of chaos: emotional destruction, obsession, violence, or romance.
Obsession. Yeah, that's always fun.
Yes. And if chaos had a mascot in your books, who would it be? Barbara?
100% Barbara. Yeah, absolutely Barbara. Yeah,
shout out to Barbara. She's
our overlord.
Yeah. I was actually going to wear a hoodie. This is totally going off the path, but I'm all for raccoons, so I'll just make this side note. There's like this YouTube channel and Instagram page that I became obsessed with for a while, about raccoons who paint pictures. And I was going to wear a hoodie with this little raccoon. She's wearing a beret, and she does actually paint pictures. They sell out really fast, but it's far too warm to be wearing a hoodie. So just know that the thought was there to be in that hoodie.
I should have worn mine. I had Scarlett St. Clair gave me a sweater that has like a raccoon and there's like blood dripping on it. It's really so crazy. I was like, wow, this is nice. Okay. Worn that. Dang, I should have thought of that.
Next time we'll book you on for another one. We'll both maybe in like the cooler months, we'll both wear our raccoon hoodies, and
I'm here for it. Yeah.
So you passed the rapid fire. Congrats. Nothing's that difficult moving on from there, but that's the end of rapid fire. So let's start at the beginning. How did life as an author come to you?
I've been writing for as long as I can remember, pretty much. Like, I remember being 5 and writing on my grandmother's typewriter on a rainy day. So it's like really one of my earliest memories. I'm sure it was complete shit, but you know, it's 5. What do you expect? And then I wrote like all through high school. Wrote a lot of books by hand, probably like 5 or 6. I wrote 2 on computer. And then somewhere along the line, I got it into my head that I was doing it wrong. Because everyone will tell you, well, not everyone, but a lot of people will tell you you have to like outline and plot a book. And so I was like, oh my God, I've been doing it wrong. I think maybe it was in a creative writing class or something. So I tried to do that. And then every time I would try to plot or outline something, I would abandon the story because then I'd be too like rigidly focused on that idea. So then I guess it was like 2020, and it wasn't like a COVID related thing. It was just, I think I was reading a lot and like really ready to go back to writing. I just decided I'm not gonna plot or outline. I'm just gonna do it like I used to do it and see how it goes. And I just promised myself I would write every single day, and I've done that like every day for 6 years. And again, I'm pretty stubborn. So this is the problem of why I was like abandoning work, because I was like, I must stick to my outline. So I've just continued to do that and like wanted to keep getting better. I'm very future focused. So it's like as soon as I published the first book, it's like, what can I learn? How can I grow? Like, how can I keep doing it? And I just started with self-publishing.
Yeah. Is it true that you wrote like a lot of one of your books on your phone?
Yeah, that first book was almost like probably 90% of it was on my phone. Yeah, because we also had, so I had a corporate job, but I worked from home.
Yeah.
And we had a very busy horse boarding farm facility. So we were doing like breeding and boarding and all this
Wow.
stuff. So
Yeah.
I would go down in the morning, I would feed the horses, I would make my coffee, I would sit down for like 20 minutes, I would write on my phone. And then I basically, whenever I had a 3 minute, I would write on my phone. And that's how, like, yeah, pretty much 90% of that book was on phone.
That's so cool. I can't even like make big purchases on my phone. So I love that you wrote a book. Like I couldn't even, if it's like something over like £100, I'm like, this is a computer job for me. Like I can't do
Yeah.
anything like that on my phone. And where we are now, how I suppose like you've kind of touched this on a little bit, like you sort of went to try and be a plotter, but you've gone back to how it clearly works for you. How has the process as a writer changed for you? I'm going to say like when I say when you first started, obviously you said you were 5, so I'm going to assume it's changed a lot since then. I don't know
When
if
he
there's a
started in
typewriter.
2020, I guess.
Yeah, we'll go from that
non-typewriter.
Yeah.
I think it probably hasn't changed much other than I don't write on my phone as much. Like I'll put little, if I hear a dialogue, because it's like I see the movie of the book, you know, in my head, and I hear the dialogue of the characters. So if I hear them talking and it's something I don't want to forget, I immediately put it in my phone.
Yeah.
But like physically writing, it's mostly on my computer. But other than that, the actual process of it, I would say, is pretty much the same. Like I'm a plotter or a pantser, and I bounce around the manuscript. So if I see a scene very vividly, I have no problem like skipping ahead and writing that.
Yeah.
And I'm usually like, when I'm really stuck in a book, I'll have like 5 or 6 chapters going at the same time, so I can write depending on my mood. Like, oh, I don't want to write that funny one. I want to write a sad one or whatever. So yeah, that's like stayed really consistent. Probably the only big difference now is that I have deadlines. So
Yeah.
but I'm pretty good under pressure. So yeah.
At what point because I would say, and I'm sure everyone listening will agree, like your opening lines are iconic. At what point does that come to you? Is that something that you might like think of as you're progressing, or are you like, no, it starts with the line and let's just go from there?
Oftentimes it'll start with a line, and I'll sit and like I'll think about it for a while and like what the character is doing, and like I'll see the scene, and then I try and like figure out a line that's going to be really relevant to that. Yeah, so that I'll often start with the first chapter, and then I'll bounce around. Not always, but yeah, usually comes pretty early.
I feel like the opening for tourist season, like the wood chipper bits, has become like part of my internal dialogue. So now if I'm walking and someone annoys me, I immediately just think wood chipper. And somehow it's like calming because I think I'm writing you into the book that I'm reading wood chipper. Like, so thank you for that. It's like a coping technique now in stress. So dark rom-com and occasionally paranormal. Dark rom-com, that's a tongue twister. Why? What was that the journey that sort of led you onto those amazingly well done genres on your part?
Thank you. I think, I've always been a fan of dark humor. And a lot of my inspiration comes more from cinema. Like I've watched a lot of British dark comedies. Like I used to live in the UK, so like huge fan of like Hot Fuzz is one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah.
Death at a Funeral, that was really funny. So I think that style of humor is also very Canadian. Like Canadian and American humor doesn't always align. It's a little bit more like British. So just gravitated towards that. And then I always love romance. I'm sucker for a good romantic story. And I love horror. So like I've seen a ton of horror movies, love the genre, but you never get them all blended together, right? So I think I was just really wanting to write something that I didn't see, something that would be entertaining for me. I think I didn't realize when I wrote the Shadow Realm series exactly what I was doing at the time. Like I didn't think of it in the terms of dark rom-com. I just thought like I'm doing a funny vampire. So I think I was doing it like pretty early on without naming what I was doing. And then I wrote more like dark romance with Black Sheep and Marrow. And then people would always just say to me, like, oh, I love the funny bits in Marrow or Black Sheep. Like, I love the humor. And so when I started with the Ruinous Love trilogy, I was like, you know what? I'm just really going to lean into my weird humor and see where it takes me. And then it just like, boom.
Yeah. Were you surprised how well, I suppose, like, especially Butcher and Blackbird, just, did that surprise you? Or, I suppose, yeah, massively.
Yeah, I think like I was always aiming for something, you know, obviously, like I was trying to continuously grow my career. I'm
Yeah.
very focused on like figuring out how things work and why they work and trying to learn. So I was very deep into like just trying to understand like how I can keep getting better, like reach new audiences and all of that.
Yeah.
And so I think you're always like waiting for something to take off. But man, when it did, it was crazy to see it happening in real time. And because it was self-published, you know, I had access to all of the numbers like myself because it was only on Amazon. So I was like, whoa, seeing it taking off was just wild. So it's very exciting. It was like really crazy. But yeah, somebody described it as you put as a self-published author, like you put a lot of, I guess it's any author, you put a lot of lightning rods in the ground and you just hope that when something strikes, you're there ready to catch it. And I think that's what happened. Yeah.
I think so. I think, yeah. And just to go back to like sort of your character work a little bit, one of my favorite parts about your writing, I think, is how powerful the inner dialogue is. Like, we aren't just watching the chaos of the story, but we're essentially trapped in like the characters' minds while it happens. Was that always intentional in sort of shaping, I guess, because there is quite an emotional intensity, like there is chaos and there's humor, but there's so much emotional intensity. Was that always intentional that you stuck to like, I suppose, the heart of the characters and enhancing it, I guess, in that way?
Yeah, I think it's just kind of integral in my style. I like to delve into what they're thinking and feeling in real time as much as like I'm talking about what they're seeing and like what their dialogue sounds like and stuff. So I'm always wanting to like dig into how they're feeling in a moment and what their thoughts are so that it feels like, you know, when I'm watching through their eyes, it feels like not that they're me, but like I'm seeing every part of them and like hearing every part of them and all of their wishes and their worries and all of it. So I want to be able to try and convey that to an audience. So yeah, I think it's just like part of my style. It probably always has been. I mean, I hope that everything that I wrote when I was a teenager has been burned and like doesn't exist because I don't really want to know. But I think that it's probably just been the way I've written from like very young.
I feel like don't put that into the universe because I'm sure someone out there would be like, I must find it.
No, they were wild. They were like very YA romance. It's like, oh, they're holding hands or whatever. But it's also like they're eco-terrorists. They're like, we're like, oh, she gets like, I remember one where I wrote the opening line and she like literally gets hit by a truck. And then she's like made into an angel. And then she has a mission on Earth and it's romance. And, God, they were horrible.
That doesn't sound
that again.
I mean, that could go somewhere. Like, you could park that and come back to it.
Yeah, the opening was really bad. It's like literally, I was hit by a Mack truck.
No mystery, just straight facts. I just got hit by a truck.
Straight facts. Mack truck off to heaven.
And what sort of something you feel you've sort of something deeply disturbing you've normalized in your writing, and is it food?
I think it's probably either food or it's like some of the more gross like horror stuff but making it kind of funny. Maybe that's gotten a little bit more, maybe the gross horror stuff isn't as, maybe it's a bit more desensitized now that I'm like injecting some humor into it, but probably the food.
And what is something that you've Googled in the process of your writing that's even shocked you? And have you ever thought, oh, maybe I shouldn't write that?
There's been, I have Googled some of the weirdest shit that you can imagine. I think the most The weirdest thing that I've encountered that has really stuck with me was when I was, and this is, it's not even that shocking. It was frustrating, is what it was. I was trying to Google, like, when Lark makes her body into a table. I wanted it to be a kitchen table, but I was like, but it's got to be a certain amount of depth. And so I was like Googling, like, how deep is the body, like the torso? And Google could not understand what I meant. Like, what is the average depth of a body? And Google and I were like in this battle of like, no, not height, like a depth of a body. And it's like so resistant to me. So I eventually got so frustrated. I got a tape measure. I measured my torso. Like, okay, it's probably about this many centimeters. And then I was like, fuck it, it's going to be a coffee table. Because I didn't want them to be like eating like this. You know, the table has to be so deep, right? It's going to be a big coffee table. Fine.
I gotta say
But,
that scene, the coffee table scene where she grinds the nose, like I have vivid memories of like being in bed reading that like really late at night, like holding my mouth because I was like howling, and she was like, what do you say? It's like, what's that smell?
and she's like, it's Bentley. Bentley. And the dog is like, what did I do?
Well, at least we could never accuse you of not doing your research, because you know, and maybe now Google does too.
Yeah, maybe it does. Maybe it'll like learn from my effort.
And you do have a background in forensics. How is that being part of your process?
It's definitely come in to multiple books now, especially in Narrow, where we were setting the whole scene as like this university where they do a lot of like research, kind of like Body Farm, if you know what Body Farm is, where they
with
research
the bugs.
decay. Yeah. And so it was kind of like that. And the MMC is a forensic anthropologist, and the MMC is a forensic biologist who studies scavenger behavior. So like a lot of my training came into that one. It definitely comes in various books when I'm thinking about like medical stuff or scientific stuff. Some of the scenes in like when Lark kills a guy with at the very beginning with fireworks, like I've read cases about fireworks, with people dying with fireworks, which happens a lot actually. But yeah, things like that. Yeah, it definitely enters in a lot. And I'll go down like research rabbit holes.
Yeah. I feel like I don't know what it's like over there. I'm going to assume here, but like, you know, everything on the internet is like tracking everything. Do you ever have to like whisper into your computer, be like, it's just for research? Like, whoever is listening out there, I swear it's because I'm writing a book. Like, I have good intentions about knowing this crazy stuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna like assume that they know by now. Like, if they're tracking me enough to be like, what the fuck? Why does she keep looking at Midazolam? And like, is she gonna poison somebody? Is she gonna kill somebody off? That they've probably done their due diligence. They're like, okay, no, she's an author, because like nobody else should be googling this random shit.
And is there a scene that you ever thought maybe I've gone a little too far, but it stayed anyway?
Yeah, I think when I was writing David as a character, I was worried that I was taking it a little bit too far, having a lobotomized man, because I didn't know yet when I was writing that, like that because I'm a pantser, I didn't even know who the villain was going to be. So like, I didn't know what was going to happen with David. So I thought like legit, he's like this lobotomized guy. And so I texted a friend and I was like, am I going too far with this? And she's like, no, go farther. So ever since then, I've like never doubted. I just go do whatever I want to do. So.
That's nice though. And it's nice that you have that like in the back of your head to just be like, we're gonna do it. If it feels good to you, just do it.
Yeah.
And in Butcher and Blackbird, we are introduced to mostly all of the main characters and sort of romantic couples in the trilogy from a fairly early stage. And then they're obviously layered throughout the series. Each book focuses on a different couple. Whereas Season of Carnage is the same couple right across so we've not got the interconnected. What was sort of the reasoning behind changing that path and that storyline for Seasons?
So I've done like a continuous trilogy before with the Shadow Realm, but with that one, I had originally said to my US publisher that I thought it was going to be like interconnected standalones. We never announced that to anyone with like this is specific to Seasons of Carnage.
Yeah.
We never said that to anybody. It was just kind of like between us. But then as I was writing it, like I realized that Harper and Nolan just hated each other so much that there was
Yeah.
no way I could close their story off in one book. And the farther along that I got, the more I was like, no, I can't, it's not right. I can't do it. It's not good for the characters. It's not good for the storyline. Like it has to be a continuous series.
Yeah.
So I texted my agent and she's amazing. And she was like, okay, cool. I'll tell Xando. And she did. And they were like, oh, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah, I'm sure. I'm doing it. I'm sure.
Yeah.
And I'm really happy I did because they just hated each other so much and they both had so much stuff to work through.
Yeah.
That it just made sense and it was the right call for that series for sure.
Do you have a preference in the two?
Like in interconnected versus that,
Yeah.
I think this is much trickier to write because you have to know what you did in the first book. And then by the time you get to the third one, you're like, what? I said, what now? So there's a lot of like moving pieces. And for me as a writer, like I can't put down a lot of notes because as soon as I write a note for myself, my brain convinces myself that you wrote the note, it's fine now, it's all taken care of. It's not, so I can't do it.
Yeah.
So I have to have all that in my head, which becomes challenging, right? But like that said, like the interconnected standalones was a challenge too because they're more interwoven. So you're getting like the story from other people's perspectives sometimes, that they're like we're revisiting scenes but from somebody else's viewpoint. So
Yeah.
that's challenging too. But yeah, I think I really loved doing this. I loved doing a continuous series because you get to really dive so much deeper into the characters and what they're facing. So right now, I think I prefer this. Yeah.
And obviously end on cliffhangers. Thank you
Yeah.
for that.
They're so fun. That's
For
another
you.
benefit. I get to like end on a vicious cliffhanger and I love them.
Yeah, I mean, admittedly, I do love it. It just in the moment, you may be slightly cursing you in a good way. I'm grateful for it, but it didn't feel good. And what is sort of the inspiration behind Tourist Season? Because and I suppose Seasons of Carnage, because I don't want to say too many big spoilers, but there are some pretty big Easter eggs and connecting moments between the two. Was that something that was the first inspiration, or were you just like, I'm gonna start something completely new and find a link between the two?
So when we first sold the series, Seasons of Carnage, I was actually when we were negotiating on it, I was just finishing writing Leather and Lark. So I knew I wanted to do something like small town. Didn't know much else about that, which fortunately Xando's kind of like, okay, we trust that you're going to figure it out. So I didn't have much to go on other than it was like small town dark rom-com. But at the same time, like I did have a question that was rolling around in my head that I couldn't shake, which actually came from the movie director for B&B when the very first time that we talked. And he said, what happens to Autumn? And I'm like, I couldn't answer the question. I didn't know how to explain, or like what I sort of saw in my head was very like loose. And then when I was writing Scythe and Sparrow, I was like maybe about halfway through, I was like, I know what to do now. I know how to answer his question. And then I skipped ahead and wrote the epilogue, and then we did from there. Yeah.
That's so cool. How long did you give him the answer? Were you like, I can tell you now, or did you keep him waiting for like quite a while? I'll get back to you.
I told him when I realized I could answer the question, and I skipped ahead and I wrote that epilogue for Scythe and Sparrow. And then I texted him and I'm like, oh, you asked me. I remember I know now what it is.
I conveniently
Yeah.
remembered the answer, but I
Yeah,
totally forgot.
I got it now. So yeah, but we're like, he's really great, and sometimes I bounce ideas off of him as well. But especially if I'm stuck, he's one of the ones that I can ask, like, what do you think about this? And he's got a really more technical brain than me when it comes to like technical writing, so he can usually help me out of a jam.
Please don't ruin jam.
No. Taking notes. Don't worry, if I take a note, I'll forget what it is.
Yeah, actually write it down and then you'll
Write
think
it
it's
down.
done.
Yeah, exactly.
Jam is safe, guys. Something that you've done so well and that I adore is your elderly characters that you've put in all your books. We have the meddlesome Aunt Ethel, the Suture sisters, and shout out to one of my favorite moments when Rose asked how to crochet a sex swing. Again, howling. And then Arthur, oh my god, like just main character energy for Arthur, obsessed. You've given them life. They are such a joy to read. Is this something that you consciously incorporate into your stories as well, and just honoring these amazing elderly characters?
I think it's something I unconsciously do, and I kind of start to worry sometimes, like, do I do it too much? Because
No.
I just like, I was raised with my grandparents, so I grew up with elderly people in the home, and I feel like oftentimes in society we tend to have this infantilization of elderly people, and so I always grew up seeing them very complex and like brilliant and funny and sometimes a little bit nuts. I got to see every facet, so I really wanted to be able to put that. I think it's natural for me to want to put that in books because I am so comfortable with elderly people. So yeah, I think they just like keep coming in, and I don't think I want to stop them because they're always so fun. Like they're so fun to write. Yeah, I think it's quite natural.
Yeah, no, I love Arthur. I mean, I love them all, but yeah, keep writing them, please. And if your characters read the book that they're in, who do you think would be most offended by their own portrayal?
That is such a hard question because I feel like the story is like I'm living in their world, and so I hope that I'm transcribing it the way that they want me to see it.
Yeah,
but I think probably probably the one that would be most annoyed with me is probably someone like Leander or Yates or somebody like that. And like, like, it'd be one of those, probably Leander, who I actually love to write because he is one of the most fun characters to write for sure. I never know what he's going to say until he blurts it out, and I'm like, whoa, it's so fun.
We'll put that in. And the location of Cape Carnage, it's so alive. Like it has almost become like a character in itself. And was that intentional when you were writing it? And sort of what role did you think about how the location sort of shapes the tone and the experience for the reader? And also like shout out to Maya's Magical Mixtures, because my purse would absolutely hate to see that place coming.
Mine too. Mine too. I'd have like the bug fucker spray. I'd have like corpse reviver, hangover juice. I'd have it all. I'd have like a whole shop. Yeah, for sure. I think I really did want to make the town feel like a character. I wanted to give it almost like a Tim Burton kind of feel to it, but not paranormal. And I heavily based it off of small towns that I've lived in Nova Scotia. So there are elements of like visually kind of what those towns look like with the Victorian houses. That feeling of like the fog and stuff. But I've always kind of been fascinated about in small towns, especially where everybody, like what the undercurrents of that are, and like blending sort of, especially in harvest season, I think I did this, like blending this domestic, but what if you had like these are high stakes games and these are like serial killers, murders, like what does that look like in a town? What's the undercurrent of the town look like? So Yeah, I wanted to give it like a really lived in place, like feeling, and a place that people would want to visit, but also be like, I don't think I should be here.
Yeah. I mean, I would definitely go on holiday there. And I would just steer clear of any trouble, but keep my head down.
Yeah.
And on that, how do you sort of like, I guess, balance making it not feel so overwhelming, but also like honoring that, like you said, it is a character in itself, but I guess in the way that like is super visual to people and just, I don't know, really enhances that for the readers.
I think it's become sort of some kind of instinctual thing that I've learned over the many years of writing. I just get like, I get a visceral like feeling sometimes when I read back because I edit as I go as well. So I'm not, even though I like produce a lot of work, I'm actually kind of like slow on a day-to-day basis and more like 1,000 words a day until I get really rolling. Like 700 to 1,000 is a comfortable zone, which isn't a lot when you think about like how long in a day that I'm writing because I'm spending so much time like thinking and tinkering and editing. So I think I just have a real feeling for like, oh, it needs a little bit more of this, or I need to cut out this a little bit because it's a bit too heavy-handed. And like when to inject some humor, when it feels like it's missing like something emotional. So, and I think that applies to the town too. Like I get a sense of like, oh, I've lost the feeling of the town. I need to put a bit of like what's going on in the town now.
Yeah, that's cool. And on that, the other characters, more physical ones, animal sidekicks. I guess in a way they're like reluctant animal allies in a way. We obviously have Bentley, Barbara, Morpheus, to name a few. Will we be seeing any more in upcoming books?
You'll definitely see a lot of Morpheus in Harvest Season and then in the third book as well, which I'm not allowed to tell you what the title is yet. But probably you'll be able to guess it. So definitely a lot more Morpheus. I love having an animal companion. I think they just like add so much to the story, and they are a great way to demonstrate like the feelings and emotions and empathy of main characters as well. So I just love them. I'm a very much an animal person. Like we had a dog, chicken, horses. Like we used to have a farm. So I'm obsessed with birds. Yeah, got it all. I'm trying to get a snake. If my husband wants.
Yeah, I'm on the fence about a snake. I've got rabbits, so I'm not sure. I have to figure out what snakes like rabbits, but not for dinner. Like so, but I think we might end up with a lizard that doesn't eat rabbits. It's a very small group of lizards, but yeah, I think the problem with like adult free will, and obviously it's a joy as well, is that you can just buy any animals that you want. Like you have no parent. Well, I mean, my parent would probably still say don't do that, but try and stop me. Like
and then I've got my son who is like me. He loves snakes, so he's like, yeah, we should get snakes so we could like double team.
Yeah, that's
I think my husband's actually cool with it, so we could like double team them.
Yeah. Guess we're both getting snakes. Fine.
Yeah, let's do it.
And is there anything that you've written, good, bad, like, I mean, good as in like great to read, but then bad as in shocking to read, that that's even taken you by surprise and thought, whoa, that happened?
I think almost all of Butcher and Blackbird when we were sitting, like we did a table read of the script in December, and because we were like refining it and tinkering with it and stuff, and we had like a bunch of actors around the table, not the actors who were going to be cast, but like actors so that they could like bring the dialogue to life, and they did everything, like all the in between, all of it. And it just helps you get an idea of what's working well or what you could touch up and all this. And when we first started it, and it was like, bang, like in the cage, she is. And I was like staring down at the script and I was like, holy shit. Like, I don't know if I regret some of this.
Dang,
it's very real now. Somehow it's not as real when it's in the book, and I like, I'm okay with that, but like when you hear it, coming to life, but I'm like, whoa, that's a different story. Like my mom's gonna watch this. So yeah, I had moments then of being like, whoa, that's intense.
It's too late to turn back now.
Yeah, could have now. So
and I've just ripped the band-aid. I won't elaborate on details because I assume we all know and have read and have been equally victimized by the food. How do you choose which foods are going to be your next victims, excluding jam, because we've marked jam as safe in this conversation? Do you just go through this like supermarket and write a like hypothetical shopping list and see which one gives you a bad look and things like, you're next, you're on my hit list?
I honestly don't know how it even happened. I just like these scenes will, I don't know where they come from in my imagination, but then suddenly I'll like see something and it'll be like boom, a hamburger or whatever. Like in tourist season, which isn't that bad in tourist season. It's
No.
2 lines, not that bad, but yeah, it just suddenly appears out of nowhere. Yeah, I don't know how it happens. It's very bizarre.
Are you surprised by how that is like, I mean, there are amazing things in your book, like undoubtedly, but are you surprised that that's like the main thing that people have like really clung to?
100%. Yeah, 100%. Like I didn't think that the orzo was such a big deal. Because like I have the forensic background, I've seen plenty of maggots. Like it's I'm like whatever, they look like orzo to me. And then like the ice cream, I never thought that that was going to be a big thing. I thought the mummy was going to be a big thing because like I remember writing that in the evening, one evening, and we'd already put my son to bed. My husband was in the other room, and I was whistling as I was writing it. It's like having so much fun. And my husband was like, "You're having a blast over there." I'm like, "Yeah, this is amazing." Thought the mummy would be the thing, but no, it's the ice cream. Like, never could have predicted that.
No, and I've actually seen like there are like cook recipe books, and people will do like themed dinners around your delicacies, I guess you could say. Is there any hints that you can give us in advance, because this is like a safe space and no one will repeat anything that we hear in this call? Are there any hints that you could give us about future foods that may be ruined?
It depends on how much you like eating chili peppers, like on their own.
Okay. No.
That might be one.
Yeah.
You might have different thoughts about certain kinds of alcohol at the end of harvest season. So I'm sorry because we're in like the dark times, and we all probably need a drink now and then if you're so inclined. But if you have strong feelings about creme de menthe, like you might feel slightly differently about it after. I don't know. It depends on how strong your stomach is, I guess.
Yeah, I think people will either go like I said, they either make cookbooks and themed dinners, or they will categorically never look at it again.
Yeah.
There's
I'm
no middle ground.
Like themed dinner type myself. Like none of it bothers me.
And then another thing that's iconic about what you write is the playlists that you include with your books. Do you build them as you're writing? Do you create them beforehand, and then that kind of helps you inspire the story?
Usually I start creating them before I start writing a story. So I just like, I get a sense of what the story is going to be. Even though I'm a pantser, I'll be like, I kind of have an idea what I want to do, at least with themes, kind of have a bit of an idea of what the characters might be like. I'll have some anchor points, I call them, which is like scenes that I can see fairly vividly. And then I have a vibe, like a feeling of what the book feels like to me. So I can start building music into that, and I'll do that kind of early on. Because usually I'm working on other stuff too that I have to clear out before I can start writing the book. So I start from there, but the playlist evolves the entire time that I'm writing up until like the bitter end. Like it's usually the thing where the editors are like, "Would you just please give us the fucking playlist?" Like, but it's not perfect. Like I want it to be matching the chapters. So yeah, it's like I listen to it as I go, and if I find a particular song that I really like for a particular book, then I will like at a heavy scene or something, like an emotional scene, then I will listen to it on repeat. In which, if I'm just like on the speakers in the house, my husband was like, "Please, for the love of God, please change the song."
No,
Important part.
it's part of my process.
Yeah, yeah.
I saw the playlist for harvest season, and I was like trying to figure out based on the songs. I was like, what do I think is going to happen?
That's really smart.
And I
Yeah.
saw one, and I was like, that does not look good. Like,
Yeah,
oh.
probably is not good. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I
fair.
tried not to look into that too heavily, but I was like, oh, that feels cliffhangery at the end. Like,
Yeah, oh, yeah. That if you thought that current season cliffhanger was bad, like this is like next level. So I am not sorry because I love a cliffhanger. Like I feel like the anticipation is a great emotion, and I don't do it for like personally. I don't do it because I'm like, oh, I'll tell the next book. No, I do it because I like inflicting pain, and I like to take emotions at the end, and I like to
yeah,
have that like drop off point of like, holy shit, what? Yeah,
yeah.
that's fun.
The like
Anticipation's
throw
a
the
great
book.
emotion.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like,
I want people starting the book.
yeah, you throw the book and then you quickly run to pick it up. I'm so sorry. I will never throw you again.
Cut it a little
Sorry.
bit.
But it's yeah, I like I said, in the moment you're like, why? But
Yeah.
you know, I am grateful for those horrific moments. Are you obviously said you can't tell us the title of book 3. Where are you at in the process of that at the moment?
Done. All done. Yeah, we are in copy edits at the moment. So we've already been through like a couple of round of edits.
Yeah.
I finished it in September ahead of my deadline. Or no, it's not September, February ahead of my deadline. So yeah, I was like I think 2 weeks ahead, which is usually I'm like just a day or two before. So I was
Yeah.
very happy. But
Nice.
yeah, and now we've been like editing back and forth. It's going to be the next time it comes to me, it'll actually be like laid out into it, print ready format, but then we'll still have a couple of them after that. So yeah, we're like pretty much done.
Yeah.
Nothing will be too major at this point.
And
huge changes.
how do you sort of decompress after like a release, but also like the release of a new novel? You also got a new one coming out, but then also when you finish the writing, like is it important for you to like remove yourself from the world that you've created, or do you sort of find like when the writing's done, things just stay and linger, and or do you find it's important to sort of pull yourself out, give yourself a break, and reset basically?
Sometimes, like depending on the book, I can feel like really a little bit down for a couple of weeks. So I've learned that that's normal for me. Like I always thought when I wrote the first book that I would feel like a major sense of accomplishment. That wasn't actually really the case.
Oh.
I really miss them, you know. I miss the
One more
characters.
chapter.
Yeah. So sometimes I'll do that. I'll like write an extra like bonus scene or whatever. And I think I'm a bit more prepared for it, like mentally now. I didn't feel so bad like this time around because I had bonus scenes to write, and I had like, and I felt like it was just the right way to end. I had other things that I wanted to start working on pretty quickly, but usually I'm like, because I write, I want to keep my streak and like write every day. I'll have something else that I start to work on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
it helps
then
get me out of the funk.
well, I suppose because you do, like we touched on earlier, you give such emotional intensity to your characters, and obviously the first person POV, and like even as chaotic as the scenes are, you always hit on that, like you kind of emotionally wreck us in the most like hectic moments, which is so amazing. And I could imagine when you get to the end of that, especially because you're often writing 2 characters, you get to the end of that and you're just like, gosh, I miss
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I think like the hardest one actually was probably Marrow, because the way that I co-wrote that with Trisha Wolf, like I wrote all of Kiri's chapters and she wrote all of Jack's chapters. So Jack for me was like a bit of an enigma, and I understood him like through Kiri's eyes, but I got to read half the book as I was writing it, and I got so attached to both of them because he was like extra mysterious, I think, as well. But that one was the hardest to like let go of because it was, I could play in their world forever. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really interesting. It's like put me into a funk for a good 2 weeks.
Yeah, but like we said, like in terms of like your process changing, I guess you're aware of that now, and you're aware that that's actually part of your process, and to let
that's a really good
yourself
point.
feel
Grieve.
it is like
Be
grieving, and
sad.
it's like you know, and then on the other hand, how do you kind of go back into that place, like when it's time to write again? I mean, I feel like you don't, like you said, you don't stop writing, but is there something that you do to like tap back in and be like, right, I'm going into my serial brain. Fire up Google.
Usually I'm also, as much as I'm sad to like leave one story or set of characters, I'm really excited about the next thing. So I'm like ready to kind of like figure out how they work. And it does take a little while to like get into it. So even if it's just like, oh, I wrote 150 words today or whatever, then I'm usually pretty happy with that. But yeah, I'm very future focused as well, even though I'm missing sometimes like the characters of the last book. I'm like trying to figure out what I want to do next.
Yeah. And are you able to tell us anything about what you're working on next? And would you consider writing a different style, genre, or are you happy with your perfect niche?
I will continue to do dark rom-com, but what that looks like I'm always wanting to try something new, to try to innovate, like to try and do different things, to push the boundaries for myself. So I'm definitely like, yeah, dark rom-com, but what else is mixed in with that? Like now I've just done thriller with, Seasons of Carnage. I feel like that was very much a thriller type of blend.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll be doing something. I am working on a couple of things actually at the moment, and I'm allowed to say what they are, but I'm super, super, super excited. And I do have a thing that is coming out. I don't know what the date is. I don't think we've actually nailed down a date, but there's another thing that we have not announced yet that we finished at the same time as we wrote.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
And what are you able to tell us or hint about the film adaptation of Butcher and Blackbird? And you're executive producer, aren't you, of that?
Yeah.
So how has sort of like that, obviously writing a script, writing a book, very different. How are you involved in that creative process? What does that look like basically?
Yeah. It's super fun. Like I feel like it's just the most collaborative environment. They're so welcoming and like want to, I'm really involved in the full process of, there's some stuff obviously that it's not my wheelhouse, like figuring out who the music supervisor is going to be, like stuff like that. I don't know who's the editor. I don't fucking know. But they're really like they asked me a lot of questions, like want to get it right. And it's interesting for me because I get to go back into that world, but also it's a totally different medium, obviously. So you don't have that benefit of having all that interior stuff that we talked about. Like it's sort of like how to transfer their interior thoughts and feelings into something you can see on a screen. It's a huge challenge when like so much of my work has like all that interior stuff in it. So I get to go back and be like, well, what about if we tried this, and get to like really problem solve, which I love doing. Script writing is not my thing. I don't love the format for myself, just because of the way that I'm like used to seeing things. And it's so choppy and broken up that I enjoy like tinkering and then being like suggesting things and being like, you don't have anything to it, because I don't want to like touch that thing like that's crazy. I don't that document does not make sense to my eyeball. But yeah, they've been so great, and we will have some news. Like we are literally waiting to be able to say some stuff like any day now, and it's going to be huge news. So it's like really, it's been great, and I just love them, and I'm so happy with the decision to go with Chris and the team. And yeah, I love them. I love working with them, and we're all just, it feels like kind of everybody's getting on like this story, like going through the wilderness. I don't know. We'll be like, hey, you hop on the train. And it's the most fun thing. I love it. And they want to like have me on set and stuff. So yeah, it's gonna be great.
That's cool. A little chair with your name on the back of it.
Yeah,
The works.
I can't wait. And it's like a very gift givey kind of like culture, I find. I don't know if it's just this film or if it's always a thing. I don't know, but like there are always like little presents and little things like going around from people, and it's really cool. Like it's just, the environment is so inspiring, and
Yeah,
I'm super stoked.
that's fun. I like presents. So
Yeah.
whoever's listening, and I'm gonna look to Discord. If whoever is listening, if you have any questions, pop them in our Discord channel. So I'll try and get through some of them if they're in there. But one question I always like to ask in these Q&As is, do you have any advice for any of us who are listening that are starting out as authors? Just, it always varies. I do love this answer. I'm not a writer myself, but I appreciate writers. So do you have any advice for any of us who are listening that are starting out, going through self-pub process?
I think everybody's gonna give you the whole you can't edit a blank page thing, which is obviously like fundamental advice. You got to get words on the page. How you do that, there is no perfect recipe. You've got to figure out what works for your brain. And I actually think like a lot of the time turning off the noise of people telling you how to do it is the best way. Like just getting words on the page is one thing. But I think about this a lot because I love to ask this question of other authors when I'm doing when I'm their discussion partner at one of their events.
Yeah.
And Megan Quinn had a really good one. I just did an event with her, and she was like, I love her. Yeah, she's so funny. And she said, think about what kind of person that you want to be and how you want to act and how you want to move in this space. Like, what do you want to give to people? What do you want to be remembered for? How, like, legacy, like how do you want to move through the space? And she said, like, for her, she just wants to be able to give people joy. And she's like, everything that she does is centered on like how she writes her books, how she portrays herself on social media, which is very genuine. She's a very genuine person. It is all about joy. She wants people to be able to come to her and know that they're going to be experiencing joy. And I love that. I thought that was really fantastic advice. So I would feel that. And I'd say, just like building networks is really important. Like getting to know people, trying to approach things with a positive attitude. It's easy to look at people and think like, well, how will I ever get there? And I certainly felt that way. But every milestone is an important milestone. Every single one. Like listen to everyone and keep learning from everyone and be open to learning and say, like, if somebody else has succeeded, it's not, oh, I'll never get there. It is, I can get there because they did. So what can you learn? What can you learn? Yeah.
Well, every day's a learning day. Let me just pop a quick peek on Discord and see if anyone's popped any questions on there. Tara has asked, what is your favorite flavor of ice cream?
Okay, Tara, you better agree with me, I hope. I have two. Cookies and cookie dough. How dare I? Because I actually started writing it as cookie dough, and then I was like, why am I going to ruin the best flavor for everyone? That's clearly one of the two superior flavors is cookie dough. The other one is mint chocolate chip, and I'll die on that hill.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. End of call.
Thank you. End of call. We are done.
Yes, thank you very much.
Are you at the wall?
Do you know? In Australia as well, I don't know if it's over there. I feel like you guys have good milkshakes, so I'm gonna think this. Do you guys have mint, like spearmint milkshakes?
I don't know. Actually, probably. I don't know.
Just assume that it's mint ice cream, but a milkshake.
I gotta try one.
Yeah, delicious.
I'm gonna find that.
Wait, don't you ruin that.
I will not. Mint chocolate chip already has, and mint like ice cream, it already has so many detractors that I can't ruin it because I would just give them fuel. Like how dare I?
Yeah, we're focusing on its redemption or just thrust into the
redemption arc.
Yes, mint ice cream. And Sarah has asked, favorite male character you have written.
so hard because like it changes all the time. It changes depending on my mood, right?
Yeah.
I love Nolan for the amount of growth that he does throughout the series, and Arthur, obviously, male character, not main character, but he is so fun to write.
Yeah.
It's really hard. Probably today, Nolan. Tomorrow it might be somebody else. But my favorite to hear about, like when other people say Lachlan is my favorite or Leather and Lark is my favorite.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh,
I love Leather and Lark. You know, when I read that, I think for like a little while during it and then after, my inner thoughts were in an Irish accent, and like every second word was fecking. Like I just
love that.
It's gone from that to now, obviously. Yeah,
wood chipper. Fucking wood chipper.
Yeah, that is my brain now. So there you go. Tara has written back to say mint choc chip is best, so she's in our mint choc chip club now. Yeah. Kelly has said Lark is honestly an icon and so different to her bestie Sloane. What inspired the glittery multiple deleter vibe?
I think it just was this sense of like of Lark. She just came through so strongly from very early on. That she was like, and more. It wasn't just like the glitter part, it was what was underneath. I think that it was such a good, fun way to like contrast the different elements of her personality, that she is like this on the surface, but she's also like struggling so hard and doing so much for other people and wearing herself down. So it's, like it just came about like super organically, I would say, with her.
Yeah.
But yeah, the multiple deleter specifically actually came from Christy, who's an influencer in the space where you between the wines. And she had mentioned it in a video, I think, trying to like get around the TikTok, you know, bans of like can't say serial killer. So she said multiple deleter, and I'm like, Christy, I'm taking that. So
that's fun. And then we've got Mary Jane has said, is there a reason that all of the female characters in Ruinous Love series are named after birds?
Yes, I just loved it for the contrast. Like when I was very first coming up with the series and I was trying to think of like what the names are, and I really love naming books. And I wanted like a weapon and a bird. I don't know how I came up with Butcher and Blackbird. Like it just boom, it kind of like came to me.
Yeah.
And then I immediately like the most planning that I did for books 2 and 3 was like, I want Marriage of Convenience. And then I thought, well, leather is like, that was a bit harder because it can be used as a weapon or something, but he was a leather worker. So it was like a little stretch on that. And Lark. And then, Side for kind of multifaceted reasons, because he's in Nebraska, so harvesting, but also it was an ancient symbol for doctors, so I used that. And I love birds too. So.
Yeah, I was speaking of my raccoon hoodie. Another thing I was considering bringing to the call, which I didn't because I underestimated how high up it is. I have a taxidermy crow. And I was like, I really wanted to put him in the call, but he's so high up. And I was like, he's very wonky. And I'm actually have such regret I didn't call him Morpheus. His name is Lucius Russell Crowe.
I love that.
Crow with an E on the end. It's very important that we
establish
the E on the end. But if I get a second crow, Morpheus is the only choice
behind it. I have a raven, a taxidermied raven, and I got it at the Oddities and Curiosities Expo, which is like a traveling oddity thing. And I like bought it because I like bought the first raven I saw. And then I was like buying a lot of shit there, right? That I don't need, but I wanted. And then we saw these like incredible taxidermied ravens. Like they were absolutely stunning, but they were hella expensive.
Yeah.
And I was like, I really want one of those. But then I felt bad for my like kind of a little bit more mangled one. So I was like, no, I'm gonna keep him. So he's in my office. My actual office, not my son's.
In that office.
yeah, he's here.
It's always the eyes, I think, with taxidermy. Sorry, I mean, I'm going to assume no one in this call is queasy based on what we all shared read. But I always find that, like, when I'm looking at taxidermy things, I'm like, that's cute, but the eyes are like, what happened? Like, you did all this detail with the body, And then did you get to the eyes and think like, oh, we'll just send them north and south, like that's fine, we'll just
I think for mine, that's why he looks so dodge, is that he's like the feathers, the tiny little feathers around the eye must have been damaged on both. So he's kind of like he's like a little bit bald around his eyes. And like, yeah, he looks a little rough. Like he needs some of that Corpse Reviver hangover.
That's so funny. And I'll end on this because it's a really good question. Emily has asked us, how did you come up with the crochet sex swing? And did you think it was going to become such a thing in the book?
It was one of those scenes that I had like a very vivid image of it just popped into my head out of literally nowhere. Like I don't know where my imagination comes up with this shit, but and I felt like Rose, because of their conversation and what was happening, and again it's like these small town vibes, and that's where the conversation is kind of like going with the Suture sisters.
Yeah,
I felt like Rose would just have to come out with something super bold to get them like off the topic, right? So that's why she like goes into this. And I just felt like it was so perfect for like having like the Suture sisters all being like, oh yeah, no, you need this, and this is the kind of yarn, and this is what you need. And Fiona's just dying. Like, I just thought it would be so fun. I don't know how it came about, but like I love that it's become a thing, and people debate like what kind of yarn you should use and all that.
there's also a nod to it in Tourist Season. I noticed there's a little bit where you mentioned the sex swing. I was like,
yeah,
it lives on. But yeah, I'm just gonna double check. That's all good. We covered them all. We're gonna wrap up. I don't want to, but we must. But I will just firstly thank you for spending the evening with us. I've had an absolute ball. I'm gonna. Do you have any questions for me? No, I'm just kidding.
This has just been so much fun. I've had a complete blast, and I really appreciate you making the time, especially like in the evening. So yeah, super fun.
But yeah, thank you for joining us. Thank you everyone for listening and joining us on our bonus chapter. You guys can't say anything, but thanks for the love hearts. I really appreciate them. And yeah, I hope you'll have an amazing rest of your evening, rest of your day for you. I hope the building work goes well.
Yeah, Wednesday will be done renovations, but we're gonna go and see lacrosse game, and probably they're gonna get their ass kicked. So yeah,
that's fine. Well, thank you again, and yeah, hope to chat to you again soon.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. It's so fun.
Bye.
Bye.